Today is Christmas Eve, and one of the more pressing issues on construction of the tiny house is a driveway. We've had the power turned on at the tiny house for 2 or 3 weeks now, but it's been really wet, and the dirt road going to the tiny house, like from the front of the property all the way back, is real muddy right now, and it's not really very easy to get in and out of there with a trailer attached on my little S10, which is only a 2-wheel drive. So if we get stuck, we're stuck, and it's a real pain in the ass to get that thing jacked up out of the mud when it does happen. So haven't really been able to go back and make any progress on the tiny house. I had someone come out and give me an estimate on what the driveway would cost to put in, and he gave me a rough idea about for 50 cents a square foot is what he charges for scraping, laying down rock, and compacting it all down. And so our driveway is about 600 foot long, and he said he'd have to make it 10 foot wide for his equipment to be able to get through there. So if you do the math, it ends up being about $3,000. He said be ready to spend $2,500 to $3,000. And so right now that's probably not gonna happen. We've been saving up money to get a well drilled. Is probably first on the priority list, because once we have water and power, we can finish up the inside and be able to move out there. So I've actually been wiring houses for a electric company here in town, and we're building a subdivision out on Monkey Island, and there's a whole lot of bricks that they're siding the exterior of these houses they're doing in brick and rock, and so there's a bunch of rubble piles of leftover broken bricks and chipped rocks. And I talked to the development company, and they said, hey, they have to pay somebody to haul off the rubble, so I can have as much of it as I want. And it's actually just probably like a 5 or 10 minute drive from there to the farm, so it's actually even closer than here in Grove compared to the farm. So what we're going to do is get a couple loads of this brick and rock, and right now, since it's real wet and mushy, is a great time to put it down, because you can see the low spots, and you can throw the bricks right in there, and then drive over them, and because it's moist, it'll actually pack in to the clay and make a real good hard packed surface that we can drive on, at least temporarily, because it's probably going to be at least 6 to 8 months, probably more realistically like a year, before I can afford to pay for something that's just like, a driveway is really not a necessity. We can park up on the front of the property, or we can do something like this to get by. It's kind of a luxury thing. So driveway is probably going to be later on down the line. So it's kind of cold outside today, but it's all right. We'll put some gloves on and go drive out here to this job site and pick up a load of rubble and throw it down in the tracks that we've made. Here's what we're working with at the farm. Up till this point, the road is really good and hard. There's a couple low spots here, but they're actually not that muddy. But we'll probably need to fill those up. Luckily, that's all, as you can kind of see, the train goes uphill right there. So that's the rocky stuff where all this clay is washed off of. And then once you get down here, this seems to be where the clay is settling, because the soil, this right here is kind of like the last little rocky spot. As you can see, there's some surface rocks right here. Once you pass this spot, it's a mud hole, and it's deep, because I've taken some samples of the soil, and it's at least, like I say, 2 foot of clay. Here's a spot where I've gotten stuck, and even bigger trucks than mine have gotten stuck. So you can kind of see when a big truck drove through here, that's how much the soil was displaced. So I mean, it's just clay with nothing underneath it, so you sink down in it. So these holes here are going to require the first amount of bricks that we have. And there's kind of a little high spot right here. This soil, I haven't, as you can see, I mean, you can tell really well where we've gotten stuck, because there's water standing in it right now. But this spot through here I haven't got stuck in yet, so I don't think we're too worried about putting bricks or rock down through here. That's pretty. Snow melt, it's refreezing. It's a beautiful day out here. All these trees have icicles on them, and they're clanking together in the wind. It's a really cool sound. That's, now this section right here is kind of where it starts to get a little moist again, especially because we had this trench dug through here on the soil that was slightly compacted. But none of this is really so bad that you get stuck in it. Right in this area right here, we'll probably have to put some bricks, kind of pack them in right here. This is actually a little channel that fills up with water. It doesn't exactly drain. I'm not sure which way it drains. I'm assuming it drains back towards this little test pond back here, but I'm gonna have to get out here with the water level pretty soon, and maybe a transom level maybe, and figure out the elevations, because one of the things that I'm working on right now is planning the gray water system, and so elevations and fall are really important. I'm gonna have to find out which way this land is falling around here so I can plan out which way to put my branch drain. This section in here does get pretty rough. It's real muddy. Can't really tell right now because I haven't driven on it, because I know I don't want to get stuck in it. It has packed down quite a bit just from driving over it, but so I'd like to add some brick right through here, and there's maybe another little soft spot through here. And this area over here is untested. I mean, this is going to be my turnaround. I'm going to have to clear some of these. Unfortunately, I might have to cut a couple of these cedars, or just cut all this stuff down. Actually, that'd probably be better, just cut this stuff down. This one's dead. This is a black cherry tree that's not doing too great. Here, I think this is an elm tree, and that's an elm tree over there. I don't know, I'd like to leave this cedar. But see, this area through here is going to be part of the turnaround now, and it's completely uncompacted. Just stepping on it, it's giving way underneath my foot. See, it's really soft. I mean, we'd definitely get stuck in here, even though when we had him dig the trench, he compacted it down really well to the best of his ability. But still, so we'll have to drive through this a couple times and see where the soft spots are going to be, and get those filled in with some brick. Here's what the tiny house is looking like right now. Real pretty. Another system that we're really working on designing is, it's kind of important, is the rainwater cistern, which at this moment in time I'm planning to put over here somewhere, but it's going to be big. Right now my design is probably a 3,000 gallon tank. We'll figure it out. It's not, I mean, that's not a concrete figure right now, but that's kind of what I'm shooting for anyways. So that's what we're going to be doing with the brick that we get. Let's head out to the job site and see if it's all still there. There's these $750,000 houses that we're building, and they're actually putting a bunch of brick siding up and then stuccoing over it. So it's kind of ridiculous, but there's a bunch of piles of broken bricks here that they're trying to get rid of. So these are what we're going to haul off. There we go. That took me and Mickey about 30 minutes to load. Pretty decent sized load. It's about as much as I would want to haul with this trailer. Still a crap ton of bricks left, but we'll have to come back for them another date. Actually, while I was sitting here loading these up, came up with the grand idea of just coming back when they're actually over here laying bricks. Maybe they can use that Kubota just to scoop them up there and save us a lot of manpower. Okay, looking at it, I'd say one load will probably get this up out of the water and hopefully get started on this one. But all in all, I think we're going to need at least 10 loads of this stuff to get our driveway to where we can get back to it during the wet season. This amount of water right here, standing water, is about the amount that we can expect during the wet season, because it's really been cold lately and the water hasn't had a chance to penetrate, so it's probably just sitting on top of the soil. And so we're going to go off of this right here and just fill in these puddles as they form, and hopefully this technique of driveway maintenance, we can just do it I don't know, maybe once a year we'll maintain the driveway in the winter time, and hopefully it'll save us $3,000. I think these mulch rings are really pretty this time of year. Well, I was so happy about the way the first load looked that came back for another load. I think I can get these 2 little piles here and then call it a day. Alright, my back's starting to get a little bit sore now. We got another load loaded up. I think that's about enough for today. If a man had to, you could do this by hand, but I think we're going to try to find a simpler way. Here we go. One more load of bricks and I'll feel like we've accomplished something. Driving over it with this loaded trailer kind of compacted it down a little bit, as much as it's going to compact. I mean, these bricks will just settle a little bit and get filled up with clay, but as far as getting stuck in it, I don't think that's going to happen. There we go. No more mud holes up here. There's a little bit of shallow stuff right here, but you're not going to get stuck in that. It's not deep enough. We might put some little tiny gravel on top of that. This stuff here is looking pretty good. We'll drive over it a few times and we'll probably have to add a little bit more as after it settles. But now we're going to get started on this little hole back here. Well, there you go. There you have it. I would feel pretty safe driving over this, even in my little 2-wheel drive S10. There's all kinds of traction there. Don't think you're going to get stuck. Now, this stuff I might worry about, but I'd say today, on a beautiful Sunday in December, we spent a good half portion of the day with the only investment being gasoline. We were able to reclaim about 100 foot of driveway here, and we could drive all the way back to here safely. Now, from here on, it's going to be a couple more weekends worth of time, but I think we can handle it. Well, it's another beautiful day out here in Monkey Island, Oklahoma. And we got one more side of the house here to clean up. Today is New Year's Day, so nobody's out here, unfortunately, with the tractor. I was kind of hoping the Mexicans might be out here with their tractor trying to lay some bricks, but they're not. So I'm going to do another load by hand, but it's worth it. I'm going to try to clean up some of these bricks that's laying right around here, and hopefully make another 80, 100 feet on the driveway. There we go. I think that's the only load we're going to get today. Pretty good full load for the old S10. But as you can see, there's at least probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 more loads left here on this house. And this is like 1 out of 20 more that they're going to build. So if I had to, I could pave the entire driveway with bricks. But I'm hoping next time I'll work something out still to get these guys on the tractor to load this stuff up for me. This is the current state of the driveway, January 1st, 2018. We got some ice forming in the low spots here, so that makes it still pretty easy to tell where the water's pooling. And see, you can see, I mean, this gets real soft. It gets a little soft on this side, but not enough to pool water, so I think we'll be safe just leaving that for now. This hole, we've driven over it a couple times, and you can see the bricks are starting to break up, especially because they're sitting on frozen water right now, so there's no give in the clay at all. It's just, you know, any weight that's going on them is just going to break them. So that's alright with me. I think we'll fill in this little low spot right here, and then, I don't know, maybe move on, hopefully. There we go. I like to kind of fill in the big spots first with all the big rubble. All right, fates are on our side today. Well, everything lined up just right today. I'm able to use the work truck here and with my trailer, and there's some guys out there doing cleanup on site with their tractor, and so they're going to load up the trailer here with the tractor, and all I'll have to do is unload it. And since I'm using this big old work truck, I'll be able to get a whole lot more. Well, a little bit more. I don't want to pop my tires on the trailer, but be able to get a little bit more than what I could with my little 4-cylinder S10. So here we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm freaking talking about. That took about 5 seconds. Ah, the beautiful Rural Water District number 10 tower. Unfortunately, the camera got too cold last night and crapped out on me right as I was kind of finishing up out here, or trying to. The sun was going down, so I got as much of the stuff unloaded as I could. The only problem with the way I got it, with the way I got the fill this time, is they loaded it with the tractor, which made it a lot easier, but there's a lot of like nails and trash and construction debris mixed in with the rubble. So, you know, I'm unloading it by hand and kind of, you know, picking out as much of the stuff that's visible, like this kind of crap, as I could. But I think I'm gonna have to go over it with like, see, there's a piece of wood there. That's not gonna be good on the driveway. It's gonna eventually rot out. But my main deal is just nails. I got that. There, see, there's one. I got that Walmart road hazard insurance, which is real nice. It costs like $8, and if you pop your tires, they fix them. You know, unlimited. And I put it to good use. I do use the crap out of that deal, but still, I don't want to get a flat tire up here and be stranded because I do not have a spare on my truck. So, got a little bit further yesterday, and I was able to drive the work truck over the bricks up there. Drive the work truck and that heavy trailer over those bricks, really kind of busted them up a little bit, and that I think is good for them. Kind of helped them settle. So I'm down to the last little bit here. I got this. This is going to be my turnaround, which I've still got. I mean, this is like brand new. You know, this is where the trench was for the electric. I haven't done any driving on this, but over here, this kind of starting from like right about here on around this bend, this is about the muddiest part of the driveway, and I always have to slip and slide to get through here when it's been wet. So this is all I got left, is just the turnaround. And I didn't completely unload the trailer last night because, like I said, I ran out of daylight. But that trailer load was probably about 3 times as much as I could have hauled with my S10, and so that really put a big dent in it. That was about 3 loads worth. So the only unfortunate thing is the guys who were there with the tractor finished cleaning up the whole job site So there's no more bricks left for me to get for a couple weeks. Hey, quit it! So there's no more bricks left for me to get until they finish the next house. But like I say, there's like 16 or 26 or something like that of these houses going up. So this is going to be a constant resource that I can really use to my advantage, and hopefully get this driveway fixed and nice for free. You know, so I'm going to finish unloading the rest of what I got here, and then I'm going to kind of go over it with the magnet and get some of those nails out of there. Here's a quick rundown on how I've been paving this driveway for the last 400 feet or so. First, you got to drive over it a few times, and if you get stuck, hook a come along to the nearest tree and ratchet your little truck out of the mud. But after you've driven over it a few times and the soil becomes compacted, now I don't know how this would work for a sandy location. My location here is very rich in clay, so this is probably a clay specific application, or else you would have to add clay to your sand to give it something to bond the fill together. But basically you drive over it a few times, and once you start to develop ruts and low spots that fill with water and become muddy, you can probably see it. Here's kind of a depression right here that gets muddy. And here's another little depression right here. We'll do this one. Okay, this little spot right here gets muddy. The first thing you do is fill it with the biggest rocks that you can get. Now there's two ways you can do this. It depends on how much you have to do and how much free time you have. I found that the most efficient way is to actually lay the rocks by hand and then go from there. But you can also just kind of randomly throw it all in there, or dump it in there, or whatever you can do. But I find that if you lay it by hand, you can actually build it up as much as it needs to be, and you're not wasting any rock and everything. You kind of got things settled in place already. If you just throw it in there, after you drive over it a few times, it usually settles and shifts and things break up a little bit. So especially with these bricks here, if you lay them like that and they're laying on another rock or something like this, and you drive over it, that's gonna break. So what I do with the bricks is set them straight up like that. I'll show you what I mean. There we go, something like that. And what you're trying to do here is you're trying to go from the high side, if you've got a high side. If you're just filling in a little ditch like this, which this is just a little divot that goes from about here to here. So what I'm doing is building up to where the level is going to pretty much level off right there. And same kind of thing over here, to where we'll just raise the elevation of this. And now would be the time that now we're going to apply the fill with just a bunch of little broken up stuff. It doesn't have to have dirt in it. It doesn't have to have clay in it. If it does have a little bit of clay in it, it actually helps it bind together a little bit better, I've found. But if it doesn't, it really doesn't matter. So now we're going to take a few buckets of this fill stuff, which could be gravel, could be, hell, I don't know, sand might work, but I don't think so. Small gravel probably be the best thing to use at this point. That's what I've found has worked best. So this stuff that I've got actually has clayey topsoil mixed in with it, which is just fine. That's gonna, as soon as it rains, that's gonna kind of fill in some of the cracks in between all the gravel. So we're gonna dump some buckets on here and try to level it out from this side to that side. And there we have it. Something just like that will work exquisitely. The next step is let it rain, drive over it. The heavier the truck you have when you're driving over it, the better, because it'll actually embed it down into the clay. Especially if it's, the more wet it is and the heavier your truck is, you'll actually squish those rocks down into the clay and build a base. And then after everything settles and you've driven over it, there might be some more low spots that you can fill in with some more gravel. So what I've been doing is actually just instead of paving the whole thing, only paving the spots where it needs it. So like here is a little hump, and I just bridged across this little shallow spot right here. It's about the same level, and then it goes in here to this this other paved little what was a hump. And I find that what you want to do is actually build it up a couple, 2 to 4 inches higher than the level that you actually want it at, because it does settle as you drive over it. And as it rains, and especially in the soil, like I say, out here that's just clay, it actually presses down into the clay, and you end up building up like a base. So the only sad thing is, after doing all this, I've been working on this driveway for like 3 or 4 years. I'm getting further every year though. But after doing all this, like if you finally had the money to get it professionally done, they would actually scoop off everything that you had just to get started. So it's kind of one of those things. Like I'm planning on, I probably don't ever want to spend the $3,000 that it's going to take to get this driveway done professionally. And driveways do take maintenance about every year too. Even if you get it done professionally, you're going to end up with potholes and stuff that actually work into it, and you're going to have to get those repaired anyways. So I'm just I'm hoping that with my small truck, and maybe I might get a little bit bigger truck, but I'm not going to ever get a humongous truck. With the light traffic that it's going to be experiencing, and I think once I get it good, I think yearly maintenance is probably all it's going to take to keep this thing going. That'll save me about, like I say, $3,000. So that's just upfront costs. I don't know how much it costs to get this thing maintained and graded and things like that. So, and it's actually kind of fun building your own road, because you're making access to a place, and every time you drive back here, you're like, hey, I couldn't have done this without the work that I've done so far. So, well, it's probably going to be a couple 3 weeks before any more bricks are ready. So I'm going to go ahead and post this video now and let you guys see what's going on, what I'm doing with my winter. And this is about it, just working and paving the road. So pretty soon I'm going to start working on the tiny house some more. But we've had, just like the rest of the country, extremely cold weather for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's probably going to continue for at least another 2 or 3. I don't know. But this is the ideal time to work on the road, because in the spring it's going to be rainy, wet, and it's going to be too muddy to work on it. So I'm trying to get as much of this stuff laid down right now as I can, and hopefully, the next deal that I do is going to be working on the tiny house. So I hope everybody had a good, safe holiday season, and I wish you all a happy 2018, the year of our Lord.